Hello, Adrian.
Hello, Kerim.
How are you doing?
Not bad, thank you.
I'm glad this is not artificial at all now. So, what was your first job and how did it end?
So my first job was being a house officer. So after finishing medical school, I did a year in hospitals, which is mandatory. So I did 6 months in medicine, 6 months in surgery. And it ended with me leaving the UK and going to work in Australia for a year. Burnt out, exhausted, disillusioned, and just needed to run away for a bit.
Okay, so it ended quite badly.
Yeah, it didn't really fill me with joy and hope for my future medical career.
And so, what does your CV look like then?
It's full of jobs every 2 to 3 years. Keep changing jobs, so it's starting to look a little bit embarrassing almost, because if I was an employer, I'd be looking at it going, yeah, I can imagine I'd have you for 2 years max and you'll be moving on. So I don't look like someone that sticks around for too long. Okay. On top of that though, I've done a lot of different things. So even though I'm in general practice or was in general practice, I did lots of different roles and took on different jobs associated with general practice. So working with other organisations, I was never afraid to give it a try, give it a go, see what it was like.
It sounds familiar. So how long was the longest you had a job?
Yeah, I was thinking about that one. So interestingly, most recently I became a GP appraiser. So I'm self-employed and it's up to me and the other doctor to organise a mutually convenient time to meet up and review their material that they've produced over the year to meet the requirements of the General Medical Council, so they can demonstrate that they're working as a doctor and meeting expectations. And I've done that for 4 years, so interestingly that one's lasted the longest. And I think because I'm my own boss and I get to a little bit more autonomy, and I like a one-to-one, and I like meeting people, and I'm interested and curious what they're doing, and if I can help them to succeed where I failed, I guess that gives me motivation to keep going with it.
Good. So that brings us to the next question. What would be your ideal job / career?
Yeah, I think my ideal job wouldn't be one job. It would be a portfolio career. I think I would be doing different things. I wouldn't have all my eggs in one basket. And the work wouldn't be in some large corporation sat at an office. I would be working self-employed independently, offering services, but on my terms, when I was kind of when it worked for me. And I think I'd like to do roles that stretch me and did use different parts of my skills and expertise.
So, have you ever received any reasonable adjustments in a job?
No, I never got diagnosed whilst working in the jobs that I was doing, so I didn't get reasonable adjustments. I wonder how practical they would have been to apply as well. If I had still been working, I think it would have been quite tricky. My only hope would have been that the medication would have compensated for the challenges I was getting pre-diagnosis. But as a small business in general practice, it's quite hard sometimes to offer all the support to individuals that a larger organisation can provide. So it's a challenging environment for someone with ADHD.
So, what was your worst work experience, and why?
Yeah, I think it's funny now with hindsight, because you can look at your career and the bits that you found difficult and frustrating and look at it with a new lens and see it in a very different way to the time that you're actually experiencing it. And I often think that I'm quite reserved and careful and thoughtful with what I say, but it is also true that when I am frustrated, irritated, exasperated, tired, that a lot of the classic traits of ADHD can sort of leak out. So I can fire off quite emotive emails. I can say things on the spur of the moment without really thinking it through. And there was one.
They have to be said.
Perhaps, yeah. But it's a double-edged sword sometimes with ADHD. So you've got the impulsivity to say it, but then you've also got the sensitivity for how it's received. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You say these things impulsively without much thought, see that you've hurt someone, and then feel massively bad about it and very sensitive as well. So there was one job that I had where there was a colleague that was particularly sensitive and very hard to work with, and it was almost like emotional censorship, really, and you're treading on eggshells and trying to work around their sensitivities, and it made it very difficult and hard. And also I came in really excited and wanting to be innovative and come up with new ideas and change the world, full of enthusiasm, but very a bit in overdrive, without a lot of pacing or thought about how I could achieve everything I wanted to do. I just wanted to do it now. And I think the job just slowly unravelled as the 24 months passed by before I said bye yet again.
Okay. So, and then what positive things do you bring to the workplace, you think?
Yeah, I think I'm curious. I'm interested about how things work, how systems work, how things can be adapted, how things can be improved, evolved, changed. I'm restless, so I'm always looking for what can we do next. I'm not a person that likes to just plod along. And I like working with people that inspire me and enthuse me as well. So I think I can be a good catalyst if there's like-minded people around me. I think we can go great places, but it is just finding those people. They're a little bit of an endangered or rare species, especially in the NHS, where everyone's a little bit ground down and a little bit battle weary these days. So it's the challenge is always just reining it in a little bit and lessening my expectations of how quickly things can happen, how quickly change can take place.
All right. So the final question: what would be like your most important piece of advice you would give somebody with ADHD in a job?
I think definitely, well, one, if you suspect you have it, go get it looked into and checked out, because if you have got it, it makes such a difference just knowing that that's what's going on. I think it just takes a lot of the internal pressure off yourself. You can be a little bit more forgiving and understanding of yourself. And I would also say, if you've ever experienced hyperfocus, where you just get something that just makes time disappear and you just get lost in it, hold on to that, know what that is, and try and make that something about the work you do. And I think that's a gift that we have, is that hyperfocus is something most of us can identify quite easily. And if you can find a way that work can work with that, be fantastic.
All right. Thank you very much. That's it. Good. I think we did quite well. 10 minutes.
Oh, we're getting a bit dry at the end.
Beautiful.